the investor mindset, if you're not investing in yourself first, coaches, training, masterminds, putting yourself in the rooms with people, you will never have that evolution that you truly want to have. You know, one of the biggest things that changed my life was I met Chris Harder at Lewis Howe's event in Columbus, Ohio. I never forget. I walked out and I listened to Lewis's book. I walked out, I told my wife I was going to Columbus, Ohio. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like, what's in Columbus? There? I'm like, I don't know. There's this thing. It's like an influencer event. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but I want to check it out.
But I'm going to go check it out. And this was right around the time that my dad had passed.
Yeah.
And so I went with the goal that I'm going to buy somebody lunch or a drink. Whenever I sat down, I was going to meet different people.
Yep, just network.
So the first gal I met, she's like, oh, you've got a great story. You need to meet Chris Harder. I'm like, who's Chris Harder?
Yeah.
And I met Chris, and then I was on his podcast, and he's all about money mindset and all those things. And I ended up signing up $25,000 for the first year when it was his first year he started it to do a mastermind. I didn't know what a mastermind was.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm writing this guy a $25,000 check for I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so 5 years later, I'm still there. I'm like the flunky senior that just hangs around with all the new people.
Yeah.
But it was a space that changed everything for me. The people that I met, the people that I learned from, and the things that I started working through in life. And he's been a great coach, but so have a lot of the other people that I met in that room. And it is by far paid off.
That's the thing is, I'm glad you brought that up because you're like $25,000. Some people probably just heard that like, whoa, $25,000. And I probably would have been that guy 7 years ago. I was like, whoa. And I'm not downplaying that's not a lot of money, but how much more money have you made because of that $25,000?
Like probably $1 million.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So think about the ROI on that, guys. Like that's the thing. And it's funny because you get a lot of people today, like newer agents tell them the same thing. Like just go hire a coach. Like if there's one thing you want to do to fast track yourself, just go friggin' hire a coach. And most of these programs are pretty affordable. You know, you get into them and new agents like, oh, I'm not going to spend that on myself. And the first thing that goes in my head is like, you don't believe in yourself. That's it.
Right.
Like, you just don't see the value in yourself.
And
people
sometimes
spend 80, 90 grand on college degrees all friggin' day for 4 years. And I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have took that same 80, 90, $100,000 I spent on college and just went to one guy that is just killing it, like what I want to learn, I'll give you $100,000. Number one, I guarantee he'd listen to me. He'd be like, okay, what do you want to know? I'll teach you everything. How much faster would I get to where I want to go? It wouldn't take me 4 years probably. I mean, it may have in some ways, but I mean, you were literally, I feel like college degrees are kind of like watered down a little bit. I remember with college, I went to school. I don't even think I really use a whole. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't take anything away from it. I got some information out of it, but realistically, out of those whole 4 years, there's probably like 4 classes that are like, oh yeah, that made a big difference.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on education.
Yeah, but I look at, I'm like, same thing. Like I had a mentor I paid when I was in the e-com space and stuff like that, and he calls me. I chased this guy for like a year. I'm like, dude, teach me. He ignored me. One day I get a call. He's like 15 G's. I was like, okay, sounds good. My wife's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, just trust me, it'll work.
Yep.
That guy made me a couple mil from that 15 grand. Had I not just paid that guy, and he's like, because in some ways through that coaching, you're not paying for the knowledge. Almost in some ways, you're paying for avoiding mistakes. That's the thing for me. It took me like to where I'm at right now. I've acquired a lot of knowledge, but man, I would say it's like 80% mistakes, 20% the right things. Let me just have you jump over that 80%. I'll teach you the 20 that's going to get you there a whole lot faster.
It goes back to like the CPA thing.
Yeah.
Right. So
nobody understands that stuff. It drives me crazy.
But I think it's also in our space is I think sometimes it requires multiple coaches, right?
Oh, for sure.
And multiple investments. But again, you're talking about fast tracking.